Now, if you're watching this, you're probably a fan of the late 90s animated series Ed, Edd and Eddy. Now, those Ed boys were constantly on the hunt for jawbreakers and buttered toast, with that sweet, sweet buttered toast constantly out of reach for big simpleton Ed. Now, the show had its highlights and will always be remembered as one of Cartoon Network's greatest animated series from that particular era. But there's one character from that series I believe was written poorly, and not only written poorly, but was a horrible character that if there wasn't such a unique and quirky cast surrounding this character, the series might have been doomed to fail. Yes, ladies and gentlemen of the cul-de-sac, I'm talking about Eddy. Yes, my feelings towards him have never been hidden. And if you are new here, there's an entire musical series with which you can go back and listen to and see how the Ed the Boy's life would have played out if the Big Picture Show had continued after the Ed Boys had that big fallout. If you're a subscriber, well, hey, welcome back to the cul-de-sac, everybody. Hello, Ed the Boys. Thank you. Hit that like button and let's get started with this video. And you better watch to the end, Ed the Boys. If you're a fan of my cartoon music series, well, there might be a bit of a surprise towards the end of this video, just for you. Now, I'm pretty sure a lot of you are wondering what's the story behind Ed, Edd and Eddy. Now, we've taken the Cartoon Network series and subverted it into something that's almost unrecognizable here on this channel. But how does the stories created here on this channel about the Ed Boys relate to and connect with what was created by Danny Antonucci, the creator of Ed, Edd and Eddy? Well, in order to answer that question, we've got to go back to the beginning of the series. Now, starting with three friends, Ed, Edd, and Eddy. Now, living in a nondescript cul-de-sac, these three kids became friends based on the one similarity they each have: their names. Now, makes sense, right? I mean, just think about it. Think about it. Use your brain. If you grew up in a similar neighborhood and you met, I don't know, two other kids that had similar names to you, you'd probably befriend them too, right? Yeah. Well, I mean, if it were me personally, I'd probably utilize the Highlander rule of there can be only one, and then kill the other two kids. But fortunately, there's not a bunch of kids running around named GeekHeavy. Anyway, the main Ed boy, Eddy, was the most outspoken of the three, so he decided to become the leader and promptly gave out nicknames to the other two Ed boys, because the last thing he wanted was for anyone else in the cul-de-sac to confuse him for the one with the hat or the one with the learning disability. Now, Eddy was the one fueled by greed and money, kind of like Mr. Krabs.
Money, 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 money.
And a quick side note, I have to do this. Mr. Krabs also grew up in some weird undersea cul-de-sac with two other crabs, Double B and Krabby. Were their names. Yes, I know. It's crazy, right? Like, SpongeBob pretty much stole the origin story of the Ed Boys and applied it to Mr. Krabs. So instead of Ed, Edd and Eddy, it was Krabs, Crab with two B's, and Krabby. And instead of trying to make money to buy jawbreakers, they wanted money to buy pearls from the oyster store. Pearls and jawbreakers are surprisingly similar in texture and equally hard to chew on. And I know y'all are probably asking, how does this man here talking to you, how does he know all of this? Well, just think about it. Why else is Mr. Krabs' daughter named Pearl? Mr. Krabs was obsessed with getting his hands on some pearls, so he would scheme and come up with these various businesses to trick the other creatures in that bikini bottom cul-de-sac to give him money. And that's originally how Mr. Krabs accrued his money, his wealth. Opened up that Krusty Krab and made money, selling a bunch of money-selling burgers with a secret ingredient. The man's Mr. Krabs is secretly coded after Eddy. Isn't that crazy to think about? They're both greedy little demons. And the reason Mr. Krabs named the famous Krabby Patty was to honor his late friend Krabby. But this ain't about that false story I just spent 3 minutes explaining to you. It's about the Eddy boys. Now, after naming the two, Double D and the other Ed, he proceeded to teach them his ways of making money, which always involved taking advantage of the other kids in the cul-de-sac. Now, little did Eddy know that this would have lasting implications on his future, as illustrated in the countless songs and fan fiction I created years later, right here on this channel following the Big Picture show. But, you know what? I'm getting too ahead of myself right now. Let's continue telling the story at hand. Now, Eddy is a vile and evil character, which is surprising because, he's just a kid. But you know what? Even kids can be evil. There's Damien from The Omen, Joffrey from Game of Thrones, all them kids from the Children of the Corn. Like, Eddy is no different from any of them and has demonstrated abhorrent behavior countless times on the show. Now, in a bad case of Ed, he convinced Double D that he had a terminal illness. There's no real reasoning behind it. He just did it. There was no money to be made. It was just verifiable proof that this little boy would grow up to be one sadistic adult deserving of the bad ending. He needed a bad ending, and that's what I gave him on this channel. That's right, that's exactly what I gave him in Where Did All the Love Go Part 5. If you haven't seen Part 5, check it out. Not now. Let me finish this video, then you can go check it out. If you don't know Where Did All the Love Go Part 5 is, I gotta say this. It's the 5th song in a series of Ed, and Eddy related rap songs that I wrote documenting the Ed boys and their friends well into adulthood. Now go check it out. I have a playlist here on the channel. But in the meantime, you know what? Eddy is a deplorable character, and I could honestly list off the tons of reasons, more reasons for you, but I'm trying to spare him a body bag. Although I would love to body Eddy. He deserves it. Yeah, but it's hard for me to say that I hate him because without him, we wouldn't have all the antics that took place throughout every single episode of Ed, Edd, and Eddy. So he did serve some purpose on the show, but he was still a very, very bad character. He was horribly written, and he was just a terrible character to be around. No one in the cul-de-sac wanted to be around him. The only reason the other two Ed boys hung out with him is because they didn't know any better. You're supposed to elevate yourself, but I mean, come on now. We got Ed. Ed's not that smart. Double D is pretty damn smart. So it was only a matter of time before he grew out of that particular friendship circle. And hopefully he did as an adult. I mean, come on now. Eddy's a freaking scumbag. He's going to grow up to be a scumbag, probably an alcoholic, and someone who, I don't know. It's hard for me to interpret this stuff because it's cartoons, children that, I age up in my music. But anyways, I want to know what y'all think about Eddy. You think he's a good guy? You think he's a bad guy? Do you think he deserved everything that he got on the show? I do. He deserved every bad thing that he got and more. But anyways, let me know your thoughts on this and everything else pertaining to Ed, Edd, and Eddy. I hope you enjoyed this video. And if you watch this till the end, you know what I want you all to do? I want you all to drop a toast emoji in the comments down below. That's how I know you got to this point. And if I see at least 16 different people dropping a toast emoji, well, I might make a new song just for you, Ed boys. That's right. I'll do it just for 16 toast emojis. Can you believe that? You can make sock dummy accounts and just, drop it in the comment section. And you're going to get a brand spanking new Ed, Edd, and Eddy's music song. If you want that, let me know in the comment section down below. Until the next video, I'll see you right here.